In this video, I'm going to share with you a really simple strategy that you can start to do right now that could really help you make changes and transform your life and your behaviors a lot more quickly and easily. Now, I'm doing this video because many of the questions that I get and many of the experiences that I've had over my life are tied into this and influenced by this. So what I mean is that we have things in our lives that we want to transform, things that we want to change, things that we maybe want to move towards, and some things that we maybe want to move away from. And we're aware of this. But what happens is we feel stuck. We say, okay, I have these thoughts, I don't like them. I have these behaviors, I don't like them. But I have these other things that I want, but I feel just stuck in the middle and I don't know what to do. So what we're going to do in this video is go over some of the things that are keeping us stuck and then how we can break them and over short term and long term make changes a lot quicker and easier. So first we need to identify what's keeping us stuck. Now a lot of it, in my opinion, in my experience, is coming to language and our language patterns. And essentially these three big words here: is, always, and never. So for example, we say this job is bad, this person is mean, this person is sad, or I always mess up, I always try to do good but then I mess up, or I always try to eat better but then 2 days into it I always mess up, or I always forget my keys, or I always do this, or I never remember phone numbers, I never remember names. In reality, these words are incredibly inaccurate most of the time. Of course, we could say, the sun always comes up in a certain time frame. Duh, we get that. But when it comes to people, when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to most things in reality, these words are pretty inaccurate. And it's actually quite obvious because life is very dynamic, life is very complex, and life is very intricate. So a way to illustrate that is to see that in actuality, we have a whole spectrum of possibilities, right? We have this huge, just full spectrum of possibilities. But what we do is we say, this person is mean. So what we do is say, okay, I understand you're a human being and you're complex and you have an infinite array of, emotions, thoughts, behaviors that you could express. But in my rigid mind, I'm saying you are this, or not you is this, because that doesn't make any sense, but you know what I'm saying. So basically you're taking all this possibility and just ignoring it all and just locking it in. You say, I always forget my keys, when in reality you have the same brain, you have the same capabilities, the same possibilities as everyone else. You're not born with a broken memory gene, So what you're doing is, okay, maybe I do have the possibility to change my behavior, but I'm going to take these rigid language patterns and I'm going to lock myself in over here and ignore all of this. So essentially the problem is with these words, is, always, and never, is that they lock us into a rigid way of seeing the world because these words are inherently rigid and just take complex reality and boom, cut it into a little piece, and that's all we see, that's all we focus on. The second thing to that is that it creates self-fulfilling prophecies. If you say, I always forget this, then why would you be mad or surprised when you forget it? Because you've just informed everyone that you always do this, so they expect you to do it. So then you just stack the deck in your, against you even more, and then you get mad, say, oh, I always do this, and then you get mad, oh, I always do this, I get mad. It's like you're creating your reality there. You're saying essentially your own behavior and then getting mad when it happens, so it doesn't make any sense. So then from there, hopefully we can understand the problem with these words and how they lock us into rigid ways of seeing the world and with dealing with ourselves and dealing with other people. So is, always, and never are the main three problematic words that I need to look at. So then the solution and how we can start to break free of that and move past it is to first and foremost just pay attention. To just first have the awareness to understand that yes, these words are problematic, and yes, these words are actually completely inaccurate, most of the time. So I just need to start to be aware of when I use them and when other people use them, and start to pay attention to the correlation between the words that are coming out and the behaviors that are coming as a result of that, and to see the connection, to see the correlation. Second, once we have the awareness, once we pay attention, we need to start to we need to start to replace these words with more flexible, more accurate words. So we could say, John is mean. We say, well, John seems kind of mean right now, which that leaves a lot more flexibility, and it's actually more accurate, because most people aren't mean 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They might just be having a bad day. They might just not like you. You might have just offended them in some way. You might just, who knows what it might be. So to say John seems sort of mean right now, that's more accurate than John is a bad person. John is a mean person. I hate working with John, blah, blah, blah. Like all these stories that people say, which are so far from being accurate. So we need to understand that things in life, this is the third step too. We need to understand that the things that we're using to describe with words, meaning ourselves, meaning other people, meaning behaviors, are complex, they're dynamic, and they're very intricate. And these words that we described are very rigid and very dead and very static. So to take something static and to try to slam it on something dynamic, of course you're going to feel discord, of course you're going to feel just stuck, of course we're going to feel not good, because it's disharmony. Just like if someone just is rocking a minor seventh or like a minor second all day long, you hate it because the sound just feels terrible. It's like that's the interval of alarm clock. It's like a minor second because we just don't like that interval, and we hate it, and we just ugh. So then obviously when we have a behavior or words that are out of sync or out of harmony, of course we're going to cringe and not feel good. And we need to understand that the map is not the territory. So people are very complex. Organisms, events, life in general is complex and it's dynamic, and words usually are not. So this is creating the discord, and this is what's keeping us stuck. So we need to understand and apply the things that I've just outlined, and we will be able to have more freedom, have more dexterity, have more consciousness, and then be able to change our patterns much more easily, because we're not holding ourselves back, because we're not chasing our own tail and keeping ourselves on the hamster wheel. So this is something that I've used for myself over the years, still using to this day, because evolution never ends, life never ends, and we just keep going to different levels and just keep going and changing and evolving and growing. So if you have any questions or comments, post them below, and I'll talk to you soon.